So how can I be of service?
Yeah, so I hit you up just because I want to get more organized in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just personally not where I want to be. But like things are starting to get better. I started a studio.
Yeah.
I started producing like young artists.
Yeah. I said,
That's fun.
Yeah. That's cool.
But certain things just didn't pan out, and I think I just made a couple bad decisions here and there.
Yeah, well, that's the human
track.
Yeah, that's the human condition, right? You can't know what the best decisions are sometimes. I mean, there are sort of general sort of guidelines, but as far as specifics, which path you go down, you don't know until you're down the path.
Right.
And oftentimes you don't even know that you're at a point where you need to make a critical decision. Because everything else is going on.
Right.
And everything keeps changing. Nothing stays the same. So I think the heart and soul of getting more organized is having a schedule. So that's the first thing. And so while we're over here, it's because I think that having someone else to take a look at your schedule and to maybe make some suggestions. It's hard to see yourself. Well, you can't see yourself, actually, and that's why you need other people.
Yeah.
That's why we all need other people to show us a different angle on ourselves so that we can get closer and closer to some kind of objectivity. My own experience is completely and totally distorted by my own experience. The way I see things, I'm only seeing them through my own eyes. And even when you try to imagine seeing things through someone else's eyes, it's still clouded by your own, your own perspective. You still can only see it through your own eyes. And so that's why, again, why community, and that's why the master-apprentice relationship is so important. And it's not that the master is perfect, it's that the master has done many of the things that you're attempting to do, and so they at least can say, hey, watch out for this and watch out for that.
It's like I need like some sort of mentor, and like I was like, I'm just trying to seek out a couple different mentors.
Yeah. I mean, that's
that helps setting goals, I guess.
I've had those. I have those relationships, and I have sought those relationships out. And I have told people, hey, the reason I want to get with you is because I'm looking for a mentor. I mean, I'm pretty, deliberate, and I think that's the way to do it. Great. So I'm honored that you, would consider me that way.
I saw the video and I was like, I really need some help just setting goals, getting organized, getting somewhere like on the right path.
All right, so
I resonated with a lot of what you said in that video I watched.
So there's so you're talking about setting goals.
Yeah.
So one of the things about setting goals is, so you have dream goals, long-term goals, intermediate goals, and short-term goals. And you don't know what any of those goals ought to be until you've actually set the dream goal, because all of the goals further down in the list will logically lead to goals further up on the list. When I say further up, I mean closer to the dream goal. And what happens with goals is that they have to be regularly revised. You have to regularly revise goals, because once you accomplish something, unless you want foolishness to supplant or to take the place of, it's like the principle of a vacuum. You let something out, something else gets in. You can either control what gets in by regularly revising your goals, or any old thing gets in. So starting with a long-term goal, starting with the dream goal, and a dream goal could be something like, first of all, A dream goal is not a realistic goal. You know, so you don't want to consult. Look, you want to do what you want to do, and in your heart, you have a particular thing that would fulfill you, and you know what that thing is, right? And so, the dream goal is to reach actually towards the thing, that will actually do that, right? It's not to say, okay, you have conversations with, friends, relatives, maybe even parents sometimes, because everybody means well, and sometimes people say stuff that's not really going to help you get there. And actually,
So I noticed.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, actually.
Well, oftentimes people that care about you, they can give you some of the worst advice because they care about you so much. There are certain risks involved with really reaching for a dream goal, and so there's a fear that they have, and they want to protect you. So it comes from a good place, but
It's not helping.
yeah, but it doesn't necessarily help you get to that dream goal, right? So a dream goal is a dream. It's not realistic. It's a dream. Okay. Now the way that you make it more likely to become reality is by having other goals that will lead towards that dream goal. So it's not like, okay, well, I want to play. So say for instance, if like a dream goal of yours was, I want to play with John Patitucci. Patitucci's like the baddest. I want to play with Patitucci, but basically that's your dream goal. But then, all your everything else is like, okay, well, I guess I need to practice. Okay, now if that's all the detail that's there, you're never going to get to that. You're never going to get there. So long-term goals would have to be something like you might have to move to some other location. You might need to, start, playing with some other bands, or with some different kinds of musicians, and so you have to get the skill set together to be able to play with those other musicians. You're learning a certain number of tunes. You're transcribing. Hey, you want to play with Patitucci? What has he composed? What has he written? What tunes does he usually play when he plays gigs? Have you listened to all the recordings? Have you, transcribed stuff? Have you tried to find him at gigs? Have you gone to performances? So a lot of those kind of things can be on the list. Then you have maybe intermediate goals, which could be stuff like I don't know. Say for instance, if one of the steps in your journey is, okay, I got to save up enough money to move. All right. Okay. So what am I doing to do that? Okay, I'm going to get a certain number of students. I'm going to try to make contacts on Facebook with folks, so that it doesn't seem like I'm just out of the blue this person. I'm going to make some YouTube videos of me playing, maybe some Instagram videos. I'm going to try to befriend Patitucci on the internet, on Facebook, on Instagram, different things. Try to send him some of my material. Show up to one of his gigs having transcribed one of his solos or one of his compositions. Say, hey man, I just wanted you to check this out. That's one of the more flattering things that you can do, but it's very time intensive, and that's why a lot of people don't do it.
It's all this in between.
Yeah, that's right. And then of course, then short term, and some of these are not. Maybe I didn't place them perfectly. I'm just trying to give you some ideas. And then short-term goals are like, okay, what are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing this week? What are you doing for the next 2 weeks? That's the stuff that you focus on. So if you consider that a dream goal is like, Google Maps, right? Everybody uses Google Maps. So the dream goal is that navigation, that place that you're getting to. All right, and on Google Maps you can set 3, 4, 5 locations, other stops before you get to the last stop. And when you get to a certain stop, it'll say, okay, tell me when you want to keep going to the next location. So you have to know where it is that you're going, and
Do you work top to bottom.
And you have to work top to bottom. And so in my illustration, in my analogy with Google Maps, where you're going, that's the dream goal. That's the location you got to get to. And all of these other things that happen getting you there, those are the other goals that are on your list, right? And so when I'm listening to these, turn by turn directions, that's like the short-term goals. That's right. It'll tell you, 200 feet up here, you turn right, so there you go. You turn.
So I get like a big piece of paper and
That's right. That's right.
Is that what you've done?
That's exactly. That's right.
So you have it on paper.
Yeah, and I can share you some PDF files that have the stuff on them, and then stuff like to-do lists. That's the stuff that's kind of the short-term goal stuff, right? That's the stuff
I'm doing for the week. That's what I'm doing today.
That's right. That's right. Okay, now, but so what I have found is that there are many people that are successful at writing down what their goals are. But where it gets lost in the sauce is trying to make that list, work with whatever their schedule is, right? So you have certain things that you have to do. Okay, I have a 6-year-old. I have a wife. I have a mortgage. I have another gig. I play with lots of different bands. I do a bunch of different stuff, and so all that stuff has to have a space in my schedule. If it doesn't, it won't happen.
How are you you seem pretty busy. So how do you make it all work?
So this is how we make it all work.
Okay.
So we're gonna write down your schedule. Okay. So we'll start with. So we'll start Sunday over here.
This is kind of another problem. I don't have it. It's week because
You have to do stuff when you have to do it.
yeah, I substitute teach and then I do DoorDash on the side.
Yeah, I see that.
It's almost like I'm
You're kind of
cutting very close.
You're going sort of
Not on the Google Map thing. I'm not on a roadmap. I'm just
you're just doing stuff.
It's just doing stuff.
So
I'm starting to get a schedule with clients that I have that I'm producing.
Mhm.
So starting to get okay, so-and-so's going to be coming up every Tuesday.
Mhm.
So-and-so's, we have a session every Wednesday at this time.
Right.
That part's getting organized, but it's
Right.
my life is not organized.
Yeah,
I can substitute whenever I want. I can
Yeah, I
DoorDash
understand.
whenever I want.
I get that.
So it's I'll wake up and I'm all right, I'm going to spend the whole day in the studio working on stuff. And I'll
Yeah.
just be dragging my feet,
Yeah. So
stuff like that.
but what that tells me about you is that you're goal oriented. Okay. So you're okay, I have to get this thing done. Now maybe you wait till the last minute, and all of us have different issues with waiting till the last minute on something.
Yeah.
But you have something to do, and it's okay, well today I'm going to do this, or today I'm going to do that, and at least you feel like you got something done, And so that's positive, right? So you have to try to find a way.
It's just not consistent for me.
Right.
I need some consistency that I can build upon.
All right. So what time do you want to get up?
So let's say 9 o'clock.
Okay.
If I'm subbing, I'll get up at 7.
Okay. So let's start on Monday.
Trying to figure this out.
Yeah. Let's start on Monday because that'll be good. So,
Today I didn't go teach.
Right. So you could just decide there are certain days of the week that you're going to teach. So you could say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay. So I'm just and by the way, we're going to write this down But you may get this home, you take a picture of it, you get this home and you're like, you know what? I need to change this, this, and this. Now, don't take it as a fail. Just make those changes. Just make whatever tweaks you have to. So say if Monday you want to get up at 7 a.m. Okay, and and do you eat breakfast? Okay, that's
Also,
all.
my sleep schedule's not.
All right, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about
issues.
Yeah. No, I get that. I totally understand that. So 7 a.m. up. What time do you have to be at school?
Typically like 7:30.
Okay, all right. So that's one.
2:30, 3 o'clock. Just like a typical school day.
All
If I'm
right.
subbing.
So this really should be okay, and then if school is at 7:30.
So I can get up, get some breakfast.
We'll get some breakfast, and even if you didn't, get eggs and toast or something, you could still stop somewhere to get something, or you could get some cereal, you could grab a banana, you could do something, and you wouldn't feel so sort of rushed, So 7 a.m. this is, well,
So I'll get home about 3:30.
all right, so 3:30. Okay, so what's going to happen then?
So then,
So, I mean, you could leave that open. You could just do something like this. You could say, okay, I get home by 3:30, but maybe I just want to sit there for a second. And I'm assuming that you're going to eat lunch and stuff like that during the day. But this is like, so you could say 4 p.m. That could be your first thing. So what kind of things are you involved with other than subbing? You said you have clients.
mm-hmm. DoorDash, and not doing too many gigs anymore. Kind of just focused on the studio. So
Okay.
I'll have like tracks that I'll be like, all right, you get this song done for this person.
Right.
This song done for this person.
Okay, so you need blocks of time.
Yeah.
You need blocks of time.
Yeah.
So it seems like you need blocks of time partially for recording studio stuff and then partially for practicing, just personal practice time.
Yeah.
And are you teaching your lessons?
I have 2 students.
Okay, so then you're teaching lessons. And if you want to grow your studio, your lesson studio, then maybe you can allow for that too.
Which is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So then 4 p.m. we could make that a block. I mean, you got up at 6:30. I don't know what time this was. So maybe you need a nap.
How do you take naps? Like,
You can't take a nap.
I can sometimes, but like, how do you like just relax your mind and go to sleep? You have something just like.
Yeah.
I
actually don't take naps. I don't take naps, and there's different people in different ways. I know guys that they can take 15 minutes and it makes them totally clear after 15 minutes. If I did 15 minutes, I wouldn't feel good. So you have to kind of figure out what works for you. But maybe taking a nap is not what you need to do. Maybe what you need to do is just get to doing some work and then figure out what your biorhythm is telling you when you get later in the day, and not try to just fight through it, because once you start fighting through the drowsiness, then you could end up being wired for several more hours. And then when you need to go to sleep, you can't go to sleep.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So you have to listen to, when you start getting drowsy, you have to start listening to it. Another thing about sleep hygiene and just going to sleep is just try to have a somewhat similar time that you go to sleep, because that way your body will start to learn what it is that you want, and then it'll give it to you. And your body needs sleep. Your mind needs sleep, so it's hungry for sleep. Oftentimes what happens is we confuse our body and our mind, because we don't go to sleep at the same time. We force ourselves to stay up, when we should go to sleep. And then what ends up happening is, first of all, you're not going to be particularly productive if you're forcing yourself to stay up. And then secondly, your body doesn't know, and your mind doesn't know when you should go to sleep. So then you can't just lay down and expect to go to sleep. You'll just be sitting there just looking at the ceiling for a long time, you know. But anyhow, so 4 p.m. that could be, it could be a block of time. What kind of block you want? I would suggest to try to itemize your blocks.
So most likely you'll start doing 7:30 to like 9:30 recorded sessions.
Okay, all right, that's good. So 7:30.
So I have like between 4 and
Studio. All right, and so you said 4 to there. So you need a dinner. You need to eat dinner, right? So let's make dinner 6 o'clock. Does that sound good?
That works.
And that gives you a nice leisurely dinner. You don't have to necessarily try to pack too much in there. 4 to 6, that could be practicing.
It's like I'm trying to figure out how to like practice and do the studio stuff.
Right.
And I noticed like you kind of do a lot of stuff, so how do you
Yeah, you just have to block it out. You just have to say, this is when I'm doing this is when I'm doing that. And then you just have to
like hit you up, you just work like
well, I mean what you do is you have space in your schedule to accommodate what people want, you know. So you can structure your if you're starting to have an idea, so for instance, I have a church gig, okay? Church gig is on Sunday. So I know it's on Sunday, right? And all of the church gigs that I've had, there's been a Sunday commitment, you know. So you sort of develop my whole flow and stuff is around the kinds of stuff that I do. So you don't have to like ignore the stuff that you do and when usual business hours are for what it is that you do. So for instance, if I want to play more at Dick's Den, the gig is 10 to 2. That's when the gig is. It's 10 to 2. So I can't be like, well, I want to play at Dick's Den, but no, because it's 10 to 2 and I'm doing something else. You have to try to accommodate what it is. So you don't have to pretend. You don't have to pretend, or you don't have to have a fantasy sort of view of things. You can stuff that you're actually doing, stuff that you actually see, stuff that you notice, stuff that other people tell you as far as when certain things tend to happen. You can take that stuff into account and incorporate it. If this seems like it's then the other thing is you have to also sort of factor in your sort of biorhythm. So there's certain times of the day when you'll be more productive, right? And you have to, well, you have to experiment. You have to experiment. You have to say, okay, let me try to do some stuff in the morning. You have to try it for a little bit.
That's when I'm most productive.
Okay, yeah. So then you want to try to do as much stuff as you can in the morning, or at least not get too far into the evening with it.
I'm actually tired.
Yeah. So you're going to practice at 4 p.m. You got studio time at 7:30. What are you going to do later than studio time?
So that client will probably be all done by 10 p.m. So then,
okay.
If I try to go to bed by 11, is that reasonable?
I think it's okay, but I mean maybe if you just set midnight, 11 or midnight as your goal.
It's my bedtime. That way I'm like coming down in the day, and by the time it's 1, I just fall asleep.
Yeah. So if you say this is midnight, bed, and pretty much that'd be consistent across the board.
So from maybe like 10 to 12, doing stuff in the studio, I can do that without being loud, I guess. Like 4 to 6 off. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could practice some more here. Is that what you're suggesting, or are you talking about more studio stuff?
It's like work on the tracks.
Well,
just like learning more studio techniques.
Here's another thing. Do you do any? Are you active at all? Do you go to the gym, or do you?
I was going to Planet Fitness and I stopped.
Okay.
Trying to get back on. Trying to get like healthy.
All right. So I mean, you could do the gym in the evening. You could, or you could switch these. Maybe you put practice down here, and you put the gym right here. You know,
In practice,
and that's actually good because then you could go straight from work right to the gym, and then after the gym, then you start doing this other stuff. That'd be good, and then this would be good to have at 6 p.m. because you have to eat after the gym. So you're saying so that you don't have the temptation to go home first. Let's make this 3:30 p.m. gym, and then you're getting home at 6 p.m. or wherever you pick something up to eat. Then down here to 7:30, you said to 10, and then you could say 10 p.m. It's practice.
Can that include anything practice, like if I'm practicing studio technique or if I'm practicing?
It could be whatever you want it to be. I mean, I mean that that's you're not in school. So for my students, I would say no. That's practicing on the stuff that we're working on. But you're not in school. So this is whatever you want it to be. You could even call it, instead of calling it practice, you could call it a creative block.
How do I because I'm trying to structure those little practice things too, start working on this transcription.
Yeah.
Start working on these lines.
So I think
I guess that for me too is all over the place. Like one time I'd be like, I want to do this George Benson, I want to learn this too, but then I'm like, I want to go this too. I'll jump around too much.
So I think there's two things. One thing is you should have a list of things. So like a list of things to work on, okay? And that's just a list that you can post several places. It can be in your phone, it's on your tablet, it's on your computer, it's on the mirror in your bathroom, it's in your studio. It's like you just have this list. And so anytime, okay, it's time to practice, you can quickly look at the list and then at least start working on something that's going to help you, rather than spending some time like, oh, well, what am I going to do? And having a list, makes it so that you're not as reliant on being inspired, because you can't control that. Because sometimes you're like super inspired, like, oh man, I want to do this, this, and that, and other times you're like, man, I don't feel like doing anything, So at least if you have a list, then you don't have to think of, the stuff to work on, and it's always kind of in your face. So then, you can't sort of like pretend that you don't know what to work on. You know what it is.
When I got out of school, it was like over my shoulder, you were telling me what to do.
So, having a list. Second thing is you want to document your practicing. So have some kind of journal, right? So then
just
you can say what you practiced. So say how long you practiced it, and also so that you can look back. Like, so after 3 or 4 months of doing that, you can look back and say, oh man, okay, all right, I was doing this, okay, I was doing that, okay, I'm going to go back to that, and then you can see, okay, where am I at right now, and how do I want to be different? How do I want to be better? And what can I tweak about my practice time?
How would I improvise better this way? How would I do better these chord changes?
Right, and you be as detailed and specific as you can. So you can, in this way, you can create your own syllabus. You create your own syllabus for yourself. It's based on the stuff that you want to do, and then and then you try to have some kind of time limit on how long it's going to take you to get there. Right?
So I just want to work on major 2/5 notes and hockey notes.
Mm-hmm.
Just focus on creating this an agenda based on.
Yeah, that's right. Right. You can start with like a brainstorming session, and you just think of like all of this stuff, and it seems really abstract. Just think of everything.
Do you type it on your computer, like do you have a paper you write?
I've done it where I've written it down. I've written it like this, where I've typed it. And actually, when I was creating the improvisation sequence at Ohio State, which led to my book, How to Improvise Over Chord Changes, that's what I did. I started out with a brainstorming session. I said, okay, what are all the kinds of things that I would want my students to be able to do? and I did the same thing for my applied lesson curriculum. What are all the things that I want my students to be able to do? Okay, and then I started writing down all this stuff. Okay, what are some things that they can work on to accomplish that? I wrote all down this stuff. Okay, logically, which things should we start with? Okay, all right. And then what are the second things, and what are the third things? Oh, maybe that thing actually belongs here. Oh, maybe that thing belongs there, right? So once you actually start to get some stuff sort of that starts to shape and get formed, then it's much less difficult to make adjustments.
I think that's my issue. First step.
Yeah. So it just starts with just brainstorm. Just say, okay, what are the kinds of things I want to be able to play? Who do I play with? Who would I like to play with? What are the kinds of skills that I would need to have to be able to do that? You know,
there's some players that I don't want to play.
You can. That's right. Exactly. One of the worst kinds of advice that you can receive is when people say, "Just be yourself." You know, people and we're the, you know, these days. Oh yeah. Just do you. Do you. Yeah, but no, actually, what you should do is you should figure out who you should be. You know what you know for what it is that you want to accomplish, what you want to do. Who do you need to become? You know, and it's not phony because you actually became that. You understand? Because we're hypersensitive to being phony and fake. Okay, I don't like it. I just the idea of something not being genuine, it bothers me. I don't like that. Right? So, but sometimes what that does is it works against you. Right? Right? So because so you don't want to, you know, because I'm just trying to be me. Who am I really? You know, and hey, this is just the way I am, and all we get into that kind of stuff, and that stuff is not helpful. You become who you need to be to get to the goals that you want to accomplish.
You know, closed off. If you're just like, I'm just trying
to. Yeah. Just me and you isn't, you know, is the best thing. Look. All of us are lazy. We're born lazy. Okay, you've seen a baby, right? Right. We tend to whine, complain about stuff. That's nature. Okay, that's where we all come from. All right, and nobody is born disciplined. It doesn't exist. All right. What you do have is some people had an advantage because their parents and or mentor figures, teachers, whoever it was, didn't allow them to make excuses, didn't allow them to, you know, so, and then that developed into a habit.
It's all about making habits.
That's right. That's all. And you can't make a new habit by focusing on the old habit. That's a mistake I think we make often. You can't. So it's like I need to stop doing this. Yeah, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Problem is you're still thinking about it, and you're continuing to elevate it by continuing to focus on it, even when you're saying, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that." Instead, you can use you can use the principle of a vacuum. Okay, so if you let go of something else has to come in. You know, I said this earlier. Something else has to come in, right?
It's like if I want to not eat fast food,
you have to.
That with some healthy stuff.
That's right. You have to have something as an option. Say, well, I'm not going to eat fast food anymore, but I'm also not going to plan. So I'm just going to be hungry. You know, yeah. Then what's going to happen? You're going to go right back to fast food. I know myself with the whole diet thing, which is always a challenge. You know, when I have the right stuff on hand, and I don't have to make any choices because it's right there, then I make good choices. When I don't, that's when I go right to the worst thing. And I don't even remember how I got there, right? I like black out, and all of a sudden I wake up and I got a Qdoba on my hand, and it's already half gone. I was like, oh man, I'm eating this again, right? See, that's what happens. So you have to, you have to plan if you don't want to fail.
Yourself and be like, okay, always have a snack. I'm just gonna drive, get to the drive.
Yeah, that's right. Your car will just, it's like you don't even have to try. It's just the gravitational pull is there. Like right now, if I started walking across the street, I would go straight to Qdoba. It's just, I don't know how it happens. I could close my eyes and then I end up in Qdoba. So anyhow, all right, so that's good. How about Tuesday?
So Tuesday, I have a session that starts at 6 until about 10.
So 6 to 10 down here?
Yeah.
Studio.
Yeah.
And
7, go teach.
so let's say 5 p.m. is dinner.
And then wake up at maybe 10, we'll go teach.
So you wake up at 10? Okay, so this should be somewhat similar. Now it doesn't necessarily have to be 6:30,
Okay.
but maybe it's like 7,
Okay.
okay? So let's go,
So like, don't be like, I don't have to work tomorrow. I get to sleep in. Don't
Yeah.
do that.
yeah, because
Same schedule.
you should give yourself, time to do something different. You can do that on the weekend. You can say, Saturday I'm not going to have a bad time. Whenever I get up on Sunday, or you could say Friday, or maybe it's better to do it on Friday. Friday I won't have a bedtime. So whenever I get up on Saturday is whenever I get up. Okay, so you can have that. You just don't want it to.
Every other day.
Oh yeah, no, because you'll never be able to. Yeah, you'll never be able to break out of that. So what are you going to do up here?
I could maybe if I like a walk or
Okay, so
exercise maybe.
okay, yeah. So this is a place you can say this is the gym. So maybe 7 a.m. you get up and say 9 a.m. Let's be at the gym.
And then between 7 and 9 I have breakfast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like what am I doing between 7 and 9?
yeah. I mean, it can be whatever you want.
Okay. Maybe take a
Yeah. All of that kind of stuff. You can watch some TV. I think it's useful to give yourself. You have to be realistic with any change.
just like boom, 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 boom.
You can't go to 0 to 100 because as soon as you try to do that, you'll fail at it, and then you'll throw the whole thing out. Like whatever,
So slowly getting like a schedule.
Right, and I think you can say, okay, let me try this for a couple weeks, and then you can start making changes to it. You can say, well, I tried to get up at 7 on this day, or I tried to do whatever I tried to do, or I tried to go to bed at midnight and it didn't work, or actually I need to go to bed at 11 if I want to get up at 7, or whatever. You can make those changes. Or I need more time to work on studio stuff, so how can I, find that? Yeah. So 6 p.m. studio. How long is that session?
Goes to like
Okay, 9:30. So we can go 10 p.m. practice on that. Yeah, so you're gonna still be in bed by midnight there. All right, that's studio time. You had dinner up there. So you're gonna have to.
back from the gym.
Let's make this lunch, because you're gonna have to eat after the gym. It's probably gonna be earlier than that. But let's have a lunch marker, and then in here, this can be a creative block.
Like 1 to 4 creative block.
Yeah, however long it takes you for lunch. After that, you can just have a creative block right there. All right.
Do you create like creative blocks where like I'm just gonna, it's my writing time?
Yeah, I mean,
Not necessarily like practice, but I'm just gonna create stuff.
yeah, I mean, I'm at a place right now where I need to revise my schedule. So you have to regularly revise your schedule. And one of the ways that I know that I need to revise it is because there's a lot of things that I have to do that aren't accommodated specifically in my schedule. And so I need to look at those things and say, okay, what is it that I'm actually doing there? And let me try to quantify that. All right, so I think we said that Wednesday is going to be similar. And then this is sub-teach, and then you'd be back, so then you could do,
I'm doing a session from 4 to 6.
okay, all right.
And then like 6:30.
So 4 p.m. is session,
6.
6 p.m. is dinner. Then after dinner, you could
And
go,
I'll have another session. She's been kind of like 7.
so 7 p.m.
She says 6:30, but she's always late.
Oh, okay. So session, I'm calling them different things. I'm sorry. This is, should say studio. And then, so how long is this session?
We'll go till 9:30.
All right. So you had dinner, so it goes to 9:30. So then 10 p.m. practice. All right, that's great. And then what about Thursday?
Thursday, another 4 to 6.
So we've got a 4 p.m. studio session. Okay, and then this could be
Probably lesson at 6:30.
6:30 p.m. lesson.
That's every other week.
All right. You need dinner, so let's go dinner here.
Lesson 2.
Well, actually, you could do dinner after your lesson. How long is the lesson?
It's an hour.
Okay, yeah. So then you could just do 7:30 dinner.
Usually get back to my house.
Oh, okay. So I guess it's just late dinner that day.
Is that okay for dinners?
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
you
I could
might.
just like
what
bring
else?
something.
Yeah,
while I'm
yeah.
Driving.
Right. So
Not
so
sitting down and making like a full course.
that's right. And so what'll happen is you'll be like, man, I'm way too hungry between here. I got to get something right here, And then this doesn't happen at that time, and then at that time you can do something else. But we're going to practice down here. Let's make that 10 p.m. again, just for consistency. And you're going to go to the gym up here. And 12 is going to be lunch. And then we're going to do a creative block. Sweet.
So I get back at dinner, and so just between here and there is like relaxing.
Yeah.
Essentially. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and what's going to happen is by having some open spaces in your schedule.
I'll have more energy. I'll be more focused for the practice.
That's right, because you know that you're going to have a space where you can like sit down and not be on all the time. So this is going to be sub again. So you're up at 6:30. And then that puts you back at, so I guess we could do,
So the gym could be the gym at 3:30.
yeah, gym at 3:30, and then,
Then I have a session typically at 6.
okay.
That goes to about 10.
All right, so then 10 p.m. practice.
So once I take on more clients, is that where, because I'm making money from it. So
Yeah, then that's when you're going to have to start making adjustments.
adjustments.
That's right. 6 p.m. practice, all right, and then you're done after that. And then, so gym at 3:30, you need dinner, so it's 5 p.m. dinner.
Does this kind of go with like the Dick's 10 thing where it's like, not, they can only do it at these times, but it's like cut into my schedule. But
Yeah, then you have to, then you're going to have to have some flexibility with your schedule. Now, Saturday, what tends to happen on Saturday? Well, we could say that there's no bedtime, so this would just be whatever happens, and then you can be up at whatever time.
Just depends. Some days I'll work just do it part-time. Right. I'll work from like
Okay, and that's the other thing, we didn't do any DoorDash. So maybe you can make DoorDash
Saturday
and some maybe Sunday evening.
Yeah.
So this could be. You said what time is this other thing that you have? What is it called?
I haven't been doing. Oh, I was working part time for this fried chicken joint, and I work from like 11 to 9:30. Maybe like
Okay.
but I might just cut that out.
Okay. So, but what we could do is we could just say that this is a work block. Okay, and that could be. And what's the other one?
On next.
Okay, so then that could be, and then whatever happens down here, and you could still try to have a midnight as a. So what time we're going to be up then? Because obviously you can't just.
I'll be up by like 10.
Okay, 10 a.m. up. That's good. Because that gives you some. You don't have to be up quite as early. You didn't have a bedtime.
Should I take a day off from the gym on Saturdays?
Yeah. So you don't need to go more than 5 days. So and you've got it 5 days. And then what's the last thing?
Sunday. Okay, I'm doing a session from 1 to 4. Let's just say 1 to 5 then.
Okay. 1 p.m. studio. What time are you going to be up?
I'll be up at 10.
Okay.
And I can just, what I can do is DoorDash from like 5 to 10. 10 to 12 practice.
This is good. And then midnight you're down. This is really good. I have a lot of this feels good. It feels good because you have space for all of the things that you've said, plus you have other space that we didn't even assign to anything.
This is making more sense.
Yeah. Take a picture.
How's it going? I'm Josh Altfader, former student of Professor Wallace, and definitely had a successful session today with him helping me set my goals and organize my schedule. So thanks, Professor Wallace.
You got it.
Yeah.